Thank you. It's James Cronk, who's our speaker last year, coming all the way from Canada, and he'll be Doctor Cronk today, so give him a warm GBC welcome. Thank you.
That is the kind of introduction that I love. Short, sweet, I am a little disappointed that none of you are wearing scrubs because I had planned a live surgical demonstration in my presentation this morning. There's a disease that is going around the industry that, as a doctor, I come across on a regular basis. And we're going to try to deal with that today. If you can hopefully see this from the back, this is an entitlement gland of a normal person. That is what most of you in this room have as an entitlement gland. That's a normal person. It's a very small part of the brain. That is a customer in today's golf industry. It's 10 times the size, and it is growing. It's a real serious problem that's happening. Some of you actually have members, and you can see that that is 10 times the size of a normal customer. And if any of you happen to deal with boards, you can see that their head is about to literally explode for that. And when you remove the entitlement gland of a member or a board member, it can come back, it can grow back at any particular time, ladies and gentlemen. So who was that the Disney tour yesterday? Yeah, I was following Bruce. We were talking about pass holders and members, and I was going to get one of his members that pays $49 a month, who seems to think he can play every Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Remove Mr. Jones's entitlement plan. But Bruce, you can tell your member that he doesn't need to show pass holder. He doesn't need to show up today. But you know, it's a challenge, right? And all of you in this room know this better as much as I. That you know, you need to be literally a doctor, a brain surgeon, an expert to manage people, whether it's guests and customers, or committees, or members, or boards, or owners, your bosses, your people you report to you, people you report to. It's very, very difficult and getting more and more challenging and difficult day in the day. And in my experience, one of the things that's certainly happening right now is our challenges with managing people. And all of you in this room, no doubt, whether you manage 1 or you manage 500, we manage people every day. And I have no doubt if your life is very similar to what I experience in this business on a regular basis, that it's challenging. It's challenging, lots of challenges that you're facing. Number one, finding people. Finding people to challenge. This is one of my favorite little videos. Whoa. Whoa. Technology, for goodness sakes. All right. IT left. We're going to solve this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to solve this. Hold on. Back up.
See, pulse.
Back up. Okay, so I don't know if I've told you about this, but I have a favorite video that I like to show about the challenges of managing people. And I'm going to show it to you now. It's going to work, and you're going to hear it. Listen very carefully.
I have the rest of it. Everything looks great. You drew that's my thing, and I noticed the eyebrows. That way to go the extra mile. The eyebrows, that was fantastic. So I feel pretty good about everything. I just real quick, if you don't mind, can I just get strong pulse, love that, and then if you could just breathe on this mirror real quick. There we go, nice and fogged up. That's what I'd love to see. Pulse, breathing, fantastic. So I feel good about this. Can you start on Monday? Yeah, I'll just see how I feel Monday, and I'll let you know. Absolutely, just let us know. Here's the thing, I don't want to work like 1 day a week just for a little spending cash. I get it. You got things to do. I always say, like, if I have cash from the week before still left over, then I won't work this week. So just call us, let us know. Just show up. Show up. You can grab an apron. Okay. Take care. Got one. Stacy, got one. From our resume. He's really good.
Anybody recognize that? Of course you do. And even if you find people it's, we have this thing right now going on called service phobia, where you hire people to work in the hospitality business and they don't know how to look someone in the eye or shake their hand or deliver any kind of actual service experience. We also have shift-itis, where someone is hired full-time, they tell you they're there to work, they're going to be there Monday to Friday. And 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they all of a sudden start taking time off to go to the beach, to go to school, to do whatever they got to do. And we can't get people to work. I just talked to a gentleman at one of the tables that was telling me about the need to hire 16 people to do the work of 6 because you can't get people to commit the time and energy. And many of you probably have experienced this disease, which is catosis, which is when someone needs to stay home and take care of their sick cat. And you as a manager better be very empathetic and very caring about little Fluffy and make sure that that employee gets to stay home and take care of their sick cat. So by a show, I know the answer to these questions. I've done this before. How many of you feel like managing people today is harder than ever? By show of hands. How many of you feel you don't have enough time to lead the way that you want, to manage people the way that you want? The time pressures on you as managers of people. How many feel that what worked before just isn't working anymore? Yeah. I love the day when we could yell at people and throw knives. I used to manage a restaurant. Oh, man, we used to get stuff done on a regular basis. Man, I love it. Those are the good old days. Those are the good old days. Work people 70, 80 hours. When I was a young backshop kid, if I showed up at the golf shop later than my head professional's car, I knew it was going to be a very bad day. I knew that his car was in the parking lot before I got there. And if I left, and his car was still there, I knew it was going to be a really bad day. We all, for those of us in the room that have been in this business for a long time, remember that things are totally different. When we do work with clubs and clients in the people business, you're not surprised to hear that this is consistent in hospitality. Short staffing, low engagement, not service-minded, rising expectations of customers, guests, even employees and managers and people, and getting people just to show up and just to do the job. So, I have a little task. Who's sitting beside someone they don't like? Put up in hand. Only right here. I want to turn to someone beside you and I want you to share with them what is the number one HR headache that you are dealing with right now in your business. I'm only going to give you a minute each. If you're still talking after 2 minutes, shut up. It's someone else's turn to do the talking. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute each. And I just want you to share with the person, if you're on odd number, you can figure it out. And share with the person beside you about what's the number one HR challenge you're facing. Ready to go. One minute. 1 minute. Okay. All right. Well done. Great work. What's something that we'll talk about in this table? One thing. When old people complain a lot. Huh? What's something to talk about in this table? Sorry? Complacency. What's a word that describes what we'll talk about in this table? Well, something to talk about this table. Non-work priorities. Non-work priorities. Something to talk about this table. Younger clicks. Younger clicks, yes. see that, but the challenges and silos that happen in our business naturally. Most of the time, talk about food and beverage, people go stand up, food and beverage. What was talking about this table? In their phone, trying to improve, right? Great saying from the speaker, said once, looking at their phone all the time with the hand in their lap. What was somebody talking about this table? They're gonna go somewhere else. And we all know, right? Money in McDonald's, you know, or you go stand on the street corner and help on the flagpole and everything or you know, or you look for I think my teenagers tradition in my house, let alone just in a dish area. A dish area, wash dishes, right out. Some of you are gonna say responsibility. What is it? No, no. I'm showing up to work. Accountability. Communication. 12 tables, 12 different things. I know that we can keep going around the room and talk about even more. It is a never-ending, constant challenge. I've been very fortunate to work at a couple of organizations that we were recognized as having the 5th best customer service in North America, Golf Digest. We were recognized in our province and our country as being a preferred employer many, many years ago. And I used to have a bunch of managers call me up and say, hey, James, how do you do? What'd you do? Did you buy that? The magazine? I said, no, we didn't buy that at Golf Digest somehow. But we still got the recognition. In the old days, that's how that works. But you know, the reality is that we didn't really know how we created a culture and experience that delivered great service, a great employee experience. So I've spent the last 30 years trying to figure that out. And I have bad news for you. There is no magic pill. There is no silver bullet. There is no simple solution. As you all know, it could be better than I. This managing people in your facility can change month to month, let alone year to year, let alone day to day, about where you feel you're at with managing employees and people. And there's no doubt that you can read every study that's going on right now that talks about the changes in the expectations of our guests and the challenges of managing people in hospitality, leader in the hospitality business. And so what I want to share with you, if you don't mind today, are some of the lessons that I've learned. More importantly, I've been very lucky. I get to travel around, going to conferences like this, listening to brilliant people. We have a staff training platform with 250 hours of content from 87 gurus at the moment that we provide to clubs. And we also, of course, have our own chatbot. And so when I ask our chatbot, how can we have more success managing people at our club? Our chatbot goes into our library of 255 hours of 85 experts in the club and hospitality business, and comes back with, unfortunately, the simplest answer you're ever going to hear. I wish it was more complicated, but it's really not. But I'm going to try to share with you today what I think are some of the best practices and ideas and successes that I've come across in my time in hospitality. And I hope that something is going to resonate with you today. You know, a good speaker is supposed to have 3 messages, 3 stories, 3 problems, 3 messages. I worry that if I have 3 messages, they're going to suck. And you're going to think, I didn't like any one of those 3. So instead, I'm going to try to share with you 20 or 25 or 30 things in the next 40 minutes. And I hope that out of those things, you are going to be able to find 3 nuggets that you can take back to your club, your organization, your facility to help manage people better. And as I said, I asked my chatbot, and when I ask experts, guess what? Guess what? The brilliance comes back with it. You got to have great people. That is number one. You have to have great people. I'm going to talk about how to find them and how to get rid of bad ones. You got to have great leadership in every single department and every single person that leads people. Has to be a different type of leader today in managing people. We have to learn new skills if we're going to manage people different and better in today. And then mostly we have to make sure that we have implemented tools and strategies to create a culture. We all have a culture. We all have a brand. Your brand is what people say when you walk out of the room. I hate that guy. I wish you would shut up. Or I can't wait to sit down with that person again and pick their brain. That your club has a culture already embedded. It's what it is right now today. When people in the street are talking about, do I want to go work for XYZ club or do I want to go work for ABC club? They're all talking. And what they're talking about is the culture that you have created and generated, and that is whether you're going to try to change that and update that and improve that. Have great people, have great leadership, have great culture. So let's talk about having great people. I used to have an employee. His name was Rocket. And the reason why his name was Rocket is because before you could finish telling him what you wanted him to do, he would take off like a rocket. Today, there's 4 letters to describe what Rocket had. But 25 years ago, we didn't know what those 4 letters were. Okay? And, Rocket was not the sharpest tool in the shed. You asked him to, watch the club bus. You come back and staring at the sandwich. Rocket, Rocket had a great personality, though. And when Rocket was in charge of the golf operation, and he drove the staff crazy, and they wanted me to get rid of Rocket. They come to me all the time. If they change, Rocket can't focus. Rocket doesn't know what he's doing. Rocket's not finishing the task. We never know what Rocket is. Get rid of Rocket. But Rocket had this magnetic personality, and I realized I had Rocket on the wrong seat on the bus. So I got rid of Rocket in golf operations, and I put him on the first tee. And he became our starter. And he was an unbelievable starter. And a few years later, I was at a golf show in Toronto, which is the opposite end of the country from where I'm from in Vancouver, 3,000 miles away. We're at a trade show. We've got our big signature hole. These 2 business guys are walking up. I hear them talking. Guy says, I played there 3 years ago. I played, what's your golf course name, James? Westwood Plateau. Oh, yeah, Westwood Plateau. You worked there? Yes, I worked there. He turns to his buddy and he says, they had the best starter I've ever had. The guy's name was like Jet or like Night. I go, Rocket. He goes, Rocket. Best starter I've ever had. 3 years later, he's telling his buddy about his experience with Rocket on the first tee, and Rocket was a memorable personality. And we forget so often, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to hire the right people for attitude. Hire slow, fire fast is the reason why we say that. It's very, very critically important that we have the right players on the team. Otherwise, we will not win. We will not succeed. And if there's one thing I have learned, as a consultant for the last 20 years, going into businesses that are not working, it is, generally speaking, the people. It's not the greens, it's not the hot dog, it's the people, right? To make things better. So it's very important that we are always hiring. I don't know about you, but when I go out today to a restaurant or to a dry cleaner or to a grocery store, I constantly see a sign that says we're hiring. I never go to a golf course and see a sign that says we're hiring. Not in the bathroom, not in their newsletter, not in their communication, not on the front door. You always have to be hiring. It's very important. Every one of your employees, every one of your people has the ability and skill to do a first interview. Every single time. There is no need to wait to have an interview. When you are out and about, when people are out and about and you're at the restaurant down the street, the conversation goes like this: you're a fantastic server. Are you getting 5 shifts a week at your job right now? Would you like a couple more? We have got a golf course down the street. Love to have you. Just a couple shifts a week. We have to empower all of our people and make sure that we're always hiring. We've got to give staff referral bonuses. If you've got another friend that's a rock star, and they come work for us and they stay for 3 months, I'm going to pay you $500 because the cost of me acquiring a rock star just like you is very expensive, very difficult. We always need to be hiring and putting things in place all the time to constantly improving the team. And guess what we have to do if we're always hiring? Most of us in the golf business are way too nice. We are way too nice. And we hang on to negative people and poor performers 10 times longer than we should. 10 times longer, and I mean this in all due respect, but if there is one thing I have learned, it is you have to cut out negativity every single time you see it. We all know some organization that when we come up with a new idea, they're going to poo-poo it. They're sitting in the staff room talking about how bad their day was and how we don't have a new ball machine and how they can't get this, they didn't get the time off on Saturday. They are dragging down the attitude and the positivity and the culture of your organization, and we have to get rid of it. Incredibly important. I don't know if I told you this, I'm gonna say some things today you're gonna disagree with, I hope, number one. And I have some incredibly strong opinions, right or wrong. And so, I challenge you to challenge me. We're gonna have some time again to have some questions and have some conversation. And once again, I start off, I gave my disclaimer. There's no silver bullet, there's no magic pill. I said it wasn't easy. Because firing people is not easy. Getting rid of poor performers on your team is not easy. It takes work, it takes knowing the law, it takes challenges of replacing. Why am I firing people when I can't find a chef? I understand that. But guess what? If you don't have someone that other people want to work for, you're going to have difficulty finding the 5 people to report to the chef. And so if your chef is still yelling at people and throwing knives, you have to find someone that is going to want people to come and work for you. So always got to be fired. If you've ever heard the employee value proposition, every single one of your employees needs to be able to answer, and you need to be able to tell people what the answers are to this. By the way, if you can't see in the back, you'll get this presentation at the end. I'll give you my email address, and I will send all this to everybody. I'm also going to send you some tools and templates and best practices as well at the end of the QR code. But so, no need to get the pens out. But if you can't see this, here's what you have to answer. Everyone who walks in the door that you come across when you have a rock star, when you're down the street talking in the restaurant. What will I do and why should I do it? What am I going to do? Well, what's my job? What does it look like? What do you mean golf? What is it working in the golf course? What will I do? Why should I do it? What will I learn? And how will that help me? We don't do a good enough job creating Instagram posts, telling people about all the wonderful things they're going to learn when they come and work in the golf business. You can learn about anything. You can learn about marketing, you can learn about sales, you can learn about food and beverage, you can learn about growing grass, you can learn about selling shoes, you can learn about conflict, communication, dealing with idiots. You can do all kinds of stuff when you work in the golf hospitality business. All kinds of things you can learn. And those things will help you in your career progression, whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else. Nothing greater than the opportunity for someone to work for someone to then move on and to get a manager job somewhere else. Those are the rock stars that we want to celebrate in our club. What will I learn and how will that help me? And then lastly, who will I work with and what kind of fun will I have? And can you answer those questions of your employee value proposition and be really clear about what those answers are? And can every one of your managers and really every one of your employees be able to answer some of those questions? We could do a whole session today about the different generations and what are the different ways that each of those generations you got to manage. You got to communicate to them and you got to deal with them. And I just want to highlight a couple things and a couple best practices. How many people here in this room have a mentorship program where you pair an experienced, older, retired individual with a brand new young person that is looking to get a career? How many people have a mentorship program? It's always the answer that I get when I ask this question. So you're not alone. But that mentorship and taking advantage of those boomers that are working for you, that are there for free golf, wherever they're there for, to pair them up with a young person and say, Bill, would you just mind sitting down with Stephen once a month for 25 minutes and answering any questions that little Stephen might have? Because when you're hiring Stephen and Stephen says, why should I come work for you? You're going to say, because we have a mentorship program, by the way. And we have a handful of individuals that have been very successful in business and career, and they would love to share with you some of the lessons in life that they've learned. Right? Because that's what a boomer wants to do. They want to share their wisdom, they want to give their knowledge, they want to contribute to that process. The Gen X's, want independence. I learned many years ago when we used to tell people how to set a bank account. This is for first, this is for play night. We learned very quickly around that decade. Then now we can show them the table. Here's what it's supposed to look like. You figure it out. You figure you want to do the cup first, you go ahead and do the cup first, man. Fill your boots. I'm not going to tell you how to take every single step. I'm going to show you what the outcome needs to be. I'm going to let you figure out what's the best way to get there. Here's our goal and objective. How do we get there? How do we make it happen? With millennials, it's very important to knowing the why. Why are we doing this? Why don't 9-year-olds get to ride on the cart with their mom and dad? What's the problem with it? What's the big deal? They just sit in the back, or if they're lucky, they hang in the back and they sit in the basket. That's a fun ride. Why don't we allow that? Or why? How come we've allowed it for 30 years and now we have a new policy about why we don't allow it? That's more important. Here's why. Because the club down the street got sued. Right? And so explaining the why very important. And then what Jen said about variety. How many people here will hire someone and allow them to work multiple different jobs in your facility? Golf shop, thank you very much. Golf shop for a day, kitchen for a day, raking bumpers for a day. Does it take more work? 100%. 100%. Is it difficult to manage? 100%. Difficult to schedule? 100%. Do you get better people? 100%. It just takes work. It's not easy. There's no simple answer, no magic line. If you do any studies on HR, on people, and certainly when we do employee studies, and you all probably do stuff, so I hope. How many people here do an annual employee survey? Please put up your hand. Please tell me that you're just bored of me talking and you're not putting up your hand. Okay, not enough people put up your hand. Every year, you need to do an employee survey and give them a chance to give you feedback on what they love and don't love about working with you. And if you do that, I will tell you the answers are always going to be the same about the things that they are looking for that they are not getting. The answers are always the same. They want more communication, they want more training, and they want more recognition. Human nature. It's human nature. If I asked all of you what you like, or what you would have liked in your career, I have no doubt you would have very similar answers. So, surveys will tell you it's very value alignment. And one of the things that lots of organizations have difficulty doing is crystallizing in words what their values are. What it is that we believe in. I've come across lots of clubs. I've worked with private club too and stuff like that. I love the club and all about families. We love kids, we're all about families. When do kids get to play your golf course? Tuesday night between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. when it's a full moon. Oh, but you're a family organization, right? Kids are allowed upstairs, right? So what are your values and how do you live that? How are those clarified? And by the way, you don't need to be. You can't be everything to everybody. You have to be very clear about what is specific about your organization, your club, that separates you from everybody else. Skill development recognition is very, very clear. All right. So that obviously, finding people, attracting people, having a constant a goal of upgrading the team. There's a reason why coaches get fired. There's a reason why players get traded. It is because the organization is trying to improve the team. Our job as leaders, our responsibility as leaders, is to put the best team on the field every single day. And sometimes that means we have to make difficult decisions about benching people, about disciplining people, about firing people, and then about motivating people. We're going to talk about motivation in a minute, but I can tell you there's no motivating someone that is a negative now. There are people that just simply should not be in the hospitality. And I'm not saying that someone who can't work in the grinding department or the accounting department that needs to tell jokes all day long. No. But if they are doing anything to hinder the organization and the culture and the team and the ability for the team to be successful, we have a responsibility to take care of it and to deal with it. And that is also part of leadership. I'm going to share with you my favorite video. You've probably seen it, maybe. You've certainly seen this individual before because he does great stuff all the time. But this is a very, very valuable video, in my humble opinion.
It's a true story. A few months ago, I stayed at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. It is a wonderful hotel. And the reason it's a wonderful hotel is not because of the fancy beds. Any hotel can go and buy a fancy bed. The reason it's a wonderful hotel is because of the people who work there. If you walk past somebody in the Four Seasons and they say hello to you, you get the feeling that they actually wanted to say hello to you. It's not that somebody told them that you have to say hello to all the customers, say hello to all the guests. Right? You have to feel that they care. Now, in the lobby, they have a coffee stand. And I went to buy a cup of coffee, and there was a barista by the name of Noah who was serving me. Noah was fantastic. He was friendly and fun, and he was engaging with me, and I had so much fun buying the cup of coffee. Right? He was wonderful. So as is my nature, I asked Noah, do you like your job? And that's given me, Noah says, I love my job. And so I followed up and said, what's it that the Four Seasons is doing that would make you say to me, I love my job? It's given to me. Noah said, throughout the day, not to walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, if there's anything that I need to do my job. He said, not just my manager, any manager. And he said something magical. He says, I also work at Caesar's Palace. At Caesar's Palace, the managers are trying to make sure we're doing everything right and capture when we do things wrong. He says, when I go to work there, to keep my head under the radar, just get through the day so I can get my paycheck. He says, here at the Four Seasons, I feel I can be myself. Same person, entirely different experience from the customer who will engage with Noah. So we in leadership are always criticizing the people. We're always saying, you know, people on the bus, I gotta feel my team, I gotta feel my people. But the reality is, it's not the people, it's the leadership. If we create the right environment, we will get people like Noah at the Four Seasons. If we create the wrong environment, we will get people like Noah at this house.
Powerful, right? And I was telling you for the last 20 minutes how important it is to have the right people on the bus. But I was then going to tell you how important it is to have great leadership. Because even if you have great people and rock stars and quality individuals, if we have a leadership challenge or we have leaders that are not creating an environment like the Four Seasons, but instead creating an environment like Caesar's Palace, we're going to have difficulty being successful. So, you know, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do some homework when we leave the session today, and one of the things that, you know, we always need to be doing is being really clear about the skill set of our leadership and how do we help them get better? How do we help our coaches become better coaches? Because we can't do it just ourselves. We own a golf club, we're a GM, we're a department head, right? We're not there 24/7. We don't deal with every single individual. We have to make sure we have soldiers and lieutenants that are out there spreading the gospel and representing us in a positive, culture-driven kind of way. And so, you know, when I think about GM and owners and individuals that, in my humble opinion, are successful leaders, they always have a plan. They have a vision. They're very clear about what they're trying to create, what they're trying to accomplish. They do an annual SWOT analysis of their operations and of their business. They do 360-degree reviews with their people. They say to their people, we're going to meet next week. I'm going to bring to that meeting 3 things that I want you to get better at. And I need you to come to that meeting with 3 things that you want me to get better at as your boss, as your leader. And we're going to sit down and have a conversation. And the first time they're going to show up, they're going to say, I couldn't think of anything. And they're going to say, okay, we're going to stop this right now. We're going to schedule this for next week, and we're going to do it again. Because there is no getting out of difficult conversations for anybody. Having those conversations is critically important. So having a vision, being able to communicate that vision. You know, I loved yesterday with Disney, and Bruce was talking about the extravaganza of their orientation, their 6.5-hour orientation, right? And not everyone can do a 6.5-hour orientation, but there are multiple different ways that you can communicate to your people through video, through posters, through stories, through staff newsletters, through an orientation, through monthly meetings, through daily huddles, through various different ways that you can communicate to your team and people what your plan is. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the most successful year we've ever had last year. Rounds were up by 15%. Our revenue was up by 12%. Guess what? Guess what our goal is in 2026? We want our rounds to be down by 5%, revenue to be up by 20%. Right? Less people means Less rounds means less wear and tear, means less labor, means a whole bunch of other things. Higher net revenue means a whole bunch of other things. How do we get there, ladies and gentlemen? We put 2 sleeves of golf balls on the counter when they ask for one. Bruce, great example yesterday. When someone asks for sleeve of balls, you put 2 sleeves on the counter. I know if I asked you how many golf shops you've gone to and someone has said you needed a glove today, we would all say, never. Never. You'd be lucky if we get them away from looking at the television and watch wrestling. Right? Not to be harsh. Apologize. Have a vision. Set expectations. Minimum standards. What are the minimum standards? I got to tell you this. Yesterday, I got a time machine. I tried to stay awake. So yes, that limits of caffeine. Place I'm staying doesn't have a store. They got a pop machine. I go to the front desk. Do a pop machine goes outside. So I go outside. I'm trying to get a Pepsi. Pop machine has Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Sprite, Fanta, and water. I hit the Pepsi button, up comes Mountain Dew. I'm like, come on. So, of course, I get my credit card up, pay another $2.50. I hit the Coke button. It'll work the same as Pepsi. Out comes a Sprite. So you tell me the guy who fills up the pop machine has got such little care and attention to where he's putting those, he doesn't give a crap about what it says on the front. He's just loading up that machine with different colored bottles. And if I ask you about your organization, right, about where are the opportunities where you need to set minimum standards and expectations, and are they being delivered? At the very least, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have minimum standards for every single role, every single position. At the very least, when someone walks in the golf shop, I need to have this what's happening. We used to do design experiences. We used to write out on multiple pages what an experience was supposed to look like when someone walked inside when they arrived in the parking lot. When they came to the bag drop, the music that they heard when they walked in the front door, what was on the table, what kind of flowers were there, what kind of paperwork was on the table, was it the newspaper, was it a golf magazine, was it a wrestling magazine, what was on the television, what was the script that someone said when they answered the phone, AI or personal, whatever you want to use, whatever you choose to be doing. But you need to have a script that is being followed and being a minimum standard expectation every single time, every single someone does. We have expectations around safety. We have minimum standards around safety. How do we have that same expectation around service, around sales, around upselling in the golf shop counter? And then how many people, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you just sold one more dessert, we would make $30,000 more in profit. You would make another 30% in tips at the end of the season. All you have to do is just offer them dessert. Offer them a soup and a salad before they get to the burger. Ask them whether or not they're here for, the team off in 10 minutes, or they're here for an anniversary lunch. Because the experience is going to be different depending on what that answer is, right? What are those expectations? What's that script that we've got people to do? Ketosis is a real thing, right? We really, it is a real thing. We really, I would motivate you to add some things to make sure your team is walking around with vocabulary that's going to help this process. And one of those things is saying to every single person, how can I help you? That is just a very simple example of saying to someone, what can I do to help you? Do you have the tools you need to be successful? To be the 4 seasons versus Caesar's Palace. I've told this before, I can tell probably a few stories before, but one of my favorite things that I learned from the manager, he used to have a piece of paper on his desk every Monday, let's just say Monday to Friday, with every employee's name on it. And his job, his responsibility was by the end of that Friday, he was going to highlight off the names of every single person in his organization. He wanted to shake the hand, say hello, just check in with everyone, because otherwise he was going to spend 5 days a week, 8 hours a day at his computer, writing invoices and answering emails. And that does not create leadership, it does not create culture, it does not create motivation, it does not get people connected to the vision or the plan. And so when he got to Friday, if there was about to get 130 people. If there was 20 names he didn't get to, they went on his list on Monday. They were the first ones on the list on Monday. I know when I was managing a club day, we're getting out of my office was almost impossible. It's just incredibly difficult. It's so easy to sit in that office and expect that everything was happening around you, right? So understanding, connecting with people, how can I help you today? Those are all obviously some best practices in managing people to do. You know, developing and training, Bruce was talking about it at Disney. You know, you can see when you walk through the back, the task list on the wall, you can see the staff room that had the values and a bunch of other best practices, a great safety wall. I'm a big believer in health and safety, right? They had a lot of great best practices there about that every organization wants to have, right? About ensuring that they're helping develop people and train people. We create a customized training videos now with AI. You know, what we couldn't do today. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. So there are so many easier ways now to generate training, to make training available. You know, we have an orientation, 100%, get everybody together, kick off, pizza, Coke, all that kind of stuff. But guess what? You know, 2 weeks in, 20% of the people have quit. And then, you know, it's August, and you know, here's your training. Catch the you know, your apron, and you start tomorrow. That's your training. But we don't have the time in the season to develop, to orientate, and get them on board. So how do we put those tools on our website? How do we send out messaging? What's the communication that we're using to develop and train our people? Do we have a pathway? One of the things that we do with our program is we create pathways for roles. It's not perfect, but we want every single person that is going to be on the beverage cart to understand which way to drive, which direction to go, when to stop, when to drive, not to chase after the group that's getting paid and giving you the biggest tips, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so leadership leads into when we have the right people that are positive, engaged, that are excited about coming to work. Then we have leaders that care about people, that are empathetic, that have a vision, that are understanding that we are in the hospitality people business. We talk a lot, you know, we spend a lot of our energy focused on delivering services for our customers. We have to recognize that we have internal customers that we have to sell to and market to and take care of and upsell and promote. We have internal customers, that's our employees. And we need the same type of strategy. To bring them in the door, you know, get them to give us their time, give us their focus. And that comes with having a great culture. And I mentioned about, you know, the importance of the vision, finding ways to explain the why, your values. If I asked you right now, we did an exercise and I said, turn to the person beside you, and I want you to tell the person beside you, what are the values of your organization that an employee is going to experience when they come and work for you? What do you believe in? What is your culture values? What do you believe in? What do you care about? What's the story that you're telling people about what you're trying to do? Doesn't mean we always do it. It means we're trying to create a culture here, trying to make it happen. You know, and you know, we don't all have a Disney story or an Arnold Palmer story that we can find. But we all have our own story that we can find. I had a great conversation last night with a lady talking about her 9-hole golf course, 120 years in the family in the States. What an opportunity, what a story, what a history. You can't tell me you can't find some very, very valid values in that experience about what Grandpa John, the reason why he built a 9-hole golf course for the community, and why we're here to grow the game of golf for people, because they're tearing down all the 9-hole golf courses and putting up houses. So that's our role in this community of providing opportunities for whatever it is, right? How you keep going. What's your story? How do you tell that story? Explain the why. You know, communication, once again, when we survey people, and I would ask you the same thing, you're probably often going to hear, it's just like customers say the same thing. I didn't know you were closing hole number 12. It's only been in every single email for the last 5 weeks, Mr. Jones. Right? You just not reading it. You can never over-communicate enough. I know a club right now that still does the old-fashioned way, one of my favorite ways, right? When you have a weekly message to the team. We have a daily message to the team about what's happening today. Here at 12, we've got this group coming in. We've got Susie's home sick, and the beverage card starts at 10. It's a memo that goes on the bulletin board by the front door, and everyone that walks in the front door has to initial that they read it. It's old school. But I can tell you, I know what I need to do as a manager to find out why the golfer says to me, how come beverage card doesn't start till 10 and golf shop told me it's going to be out there at 8 o'clock? I get to walk into the golf shop and say, who didn't read the memo? How come I don't see your signature there, Bill? I was late. Oh, you were late. Strike one. You're fine. But you know, whether you use WhatsApp, whether you use technology, there's all kinds of software out there. Whether you're communicating a weekly message to your people, telling your story, right? What's your communication is very important. I love this video about the importance of communication. I'm sure you'll love it too.
Das wir jetzt im Einsatz das hier ist das wichtigste Bild, das müssen wir das Überlebens. Hello. This is the German Coast Guard. What are you thinking about?
I gave a presentation in Europe 2 years ago, and I showed that video, and these 3 German guys come afterwards. They said, that German Coast Guard video. I'm thinking to myself, you don't have a sense of humor. Who's heard the skill story? Who's heard the skill story? Oh, not that many. You know, they say that you got to hear things 3 times before you remember them. So I hope you haven't heard this for the 4th time. I said skill story because my skill story is about the importance of having stories that talk about your culture, that represent the great things that happen. You know, you got to recognize people for the acts that they do, not for employee of the month, right? The acts they do. But I was managing this golf club where we had one of awards about service and stuff like that. And people said, James, tell me about how you guys make it happen. I said, I don't really know, but I can give you an example. You know, we used to have this above and beyond philosophy that empowered our employees to go above and beyond for the guests. And so one Saturday morning, I was in my office about 12:30, and the front golf shop called and says, James, these guys are down here in the golf shop. They need to talk to you right away. So of course, I locked my door and hid under my desk. I gave them too. But then I came to my senses and I went down. And these guys could not wait to tell me what happened. They're out on the golf course. They're on the 5th hole. And they come across our beverage cart. And Sophia that day was driving the beverage cart. And she drives up to the group and says, hey guys, how's it going? What can I get you? And one of the guys in the group says, well, what do you have? And she says, I have everything. And he says, do you have skills? And she says, no, I don't. And he says, well, you don't have everything, do you? Now, I don't know if that was a pickup line or, you know, he just really loves Skittles, but they're like, you know, bought a sandwich, bought a beer, went on their way. Sophia kept going, and they kept playing. Sophia gets to her break, gets her car, goes down the hill, comes back up, gets the beverage cart, goes on the golf course, comes across the table on 13. Hey guys, how you doing? What can I get you? What do you have? I have everything. Do you have Skittles? Yes, I do, she says. Now, I can assure you that our training manual did not say if a group asks for Skittles, go on your break, get in your car, drive down to 7-Eleven, get some Skittles, come back up. But it did say, empowered to exceed guest expectations whenever you possible. Right? And Sophia's Skittles story became one of our great examples of going above and beyond for our guests. And I tell that story all the time to try to explain what it means to exceed expectations for our other team members. We used to have a staff recognition program called the Ultimate Acts. And every month, every manager was required to come to the meeting with examples of ultimate acts that employees performed in their department. And the first 3 meetings, no one came with anything. And I said, that's not good enough. It's not acceptable enough. If you're not seeing ultimate acts happening on the golf course in your department or in your area, you're not paying attention to it. So get the frick out there and find some ultimate acts and bring them back to this meeting. Because it takes work to recognize people and to create culture. It takes work to be a leader and to make sure that you're following those expectations so that we can celebrate people. I've given this example before. I'd love you to take it and steal it. It's one of my favorite things when we kind of work with some clubs to try to create a culture. Because culture doesn't just happen. Culture happens because you put things in place that make the team excited, that make the team involved and make them engaged. We used to have what's called the best idea contest, right? We took the parking spot for the club captain, we chucked it in the garbage. Then we put a parking spot there with a picture of a light bulb on it. And every month we had a contest with all of our employees who could come up with the best idea on how to make us more money, improve the guest experience, or improve the employee experience. And every month we picked a winner. And every month that person got to park their car or bike in the parking spot. And every day customers would walk in and go, why the hell do you have a parking spot with a light bulb on it? And we would say that's our best idea contest. That's how we create innovation with our people. That's how we motivate change. That's how we embrace new ideas and new ways to do things. And the next month, of course, the same person would come in and say, who won? Who's parking on this month? What was their idea? What did they do that was fantastic? Right? Simple little tricks and tools to kind of get that message across. We also have GM for the day, golf course GM for the day. It's the same contest. The prize is different for GM for the day. They show up at 11. They bring 3 friends. They have lunch. They go play golf. They go play tennis. They go swimming. They come back in. They sit on the patio. They have a drink, and then they go home. Because that's what every golf course GM does every single day. That's obvious. That's an obvious thing. We used to have an air band contest every year. We used to deck out our clubhouse and have an air band contest for each of the departments were responsible by their leader, their department head, to create some kind of performance and act. This was the accounting department. Might surprise you. I can tell you that when your director of finance is rolling around the floor dressed as Elvis Presley, that the rest of the team have a different perspective and opinion about the accounting department and HR and payroll. For some reason, the agronomy team would always find a way to get naked. Like at some point, their church rock, they were doing, dirty dancing, and they were doing the full Monty. It was like every single year. I was like, Bruce, come on, man, you're killing me. Of course, back then we could do that. We didn't get in trouble. So I want you to turn to someone beside you. I want you to share with them one of your answers to one of those questions. I don't care which one, right? What's one thing you heard today that resonated with you that you think is relevant? What's one idea maybe you heard? What's one area you're like, you know what? He's totally right. That's something that we got to work on. We got to get rid of Mary. Mary keeps showing up drunk. We've been putting up with her for 25 years. I know Mary's love Mary, but the reality is we're probably running a risk here. At some point, we're going to cut off her finger. Inspector's going to show up. Did you know Mary showed up drunk every single morning? Well, there's been rumors. We'll talk about it. Right? So what's one area that you can improve your club? So I want you to make a commitment to the person sitting beside you about something that you're going to take from this session. And I've got one more thing for you when we're done, because I have about 5 minutes before we're finished. So I'm going to give you 1 minute each, and then we're going to do questions.
I attended this in Canada.
You attended this in Canada.
After I was done with your speech, I went home and I fired my superintendent.
Success! Wow. Okay. That's not the complete takeaway from the morning. maybe you might find something else in a more positive way. Okay, so we got a couple minutes, like 1 minute share. Come in, real quick. One more minute. Okay. A couple minutes left. As we started, we were able to 5 minutes late. So, couple things. Scan that QR code, and it's going to take you to a Google Dropbox. In that Google Dropbox, you're going to find a bunch of tools and templates and things that hopefully you'll find helpful. We have a staff training website with 250 hours of content, but we charge $149 US a month for every employee to get access to that content. We also create customized training for clients. We also have a digital waiver platform for golfers and kart riders and golfers. And we also have a health and safety platform called the Toolbox. Happy to chat with anybody about any of those things at any time. I'm going to go to the next screen here, which is my email address, which is james@gurucollective.ca. james@gurucollective.ca. And feel free to send me an email, or if you want this presentation, or if you want any other kind of information, happy to kind of give it to you. I got a couple minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Please.
Last year, you taught us a little French.
I did.
Please pass the routine.
Please pass the routine, s'il vous plaît.
Can I get another, what's the next French lesson?
We no longer do any jokes about Canada and the 51st state. That was funny last year, but I know how to read the room, and so that's why the doctor get up, right? It's a universal doctor get up there.
Maybe it's lovely.
Yeah, I know that. I'll teach you some words later. Any other questions? All right, awesome stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you got one thing, if not more than one, about the difficulty of keeping your sanity while managing humanity. I'm well aware of the fact that it's a constant journey. It's a very difficult thing to do. You have to just constantly keep throwing things against the wall and hoping that you see the things that are successful that stick. But you can't know that if you don't do focus groups with your staff, if you don't do surveys of your staff, if you don't have SOPs, if you don't have minimum standards, if you don't survey your customers, if you don't have a net promoter score, if you don't have data, what you can't manage, what you don't measure, right? So you need data in order to be able to understand how can we make our business better. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm around if you have any questions.